Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning on this energy audit. This energy audit Thursday. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. This energy audit Thursday. Good morning. Good morning. Energy audit Thursday, you guys. We have a great conversation in store for today. Intention alone isn't enough, you guys. Intention alone isn't enough. It's energy audit Thursday. I want to give the disclaimer for today. Listen, this session is not designed to help you recognize where your energy is going. This session is designed, you guys, to help you recognize where your energy is going and why your patterns may be sabotaging your accountability. But real transformation, you already know, happens when you take intentional action. So today we are auditing our energy, breaking unhealthy patterns, and aligning with accountability that really drives results. You guys, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Okay. Welcome back. Welcome back to Life Lessons with Dr. Sheila Little, a part of the Project Life Initiative. Remember, this is where we turn theory into practice. So let's take our deep breath. Breathe in and breathe out. Listen, this is our time. No pressure, just our presence here today. We've already done what we're supposed to do this morning. Now we get to come together as a community, get our bite-sized recipe for today, BYTES, right? And then move on with our day. Before we start, listen, drop a word in the chat and let me know how you're feeling today. How are you feeling today on this energy audit Thursday? This week has been a long week. Listen, on Tuesday, I felt like it was Friday. On Tuesday, I felt like it was Friday. I own my own business. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Miss Martha. Good morning, Tiana. Good morning, Candace. Um, I own my own business, so I'm creating content and I'm doing so. On Tuesday, I woke up like, man, it feels like it's Friday. So on this energy audit Thursday, you guys, I am feeling like I need an energy audit, and I'm glad that we're coming up on this weekend. It's kind of a little rainy here, and I kind of like the rain because it represents kind of like this, rinsing away, and then I get to work out this morning. So that's another good thing. How are you feeling this morning? Miss Candace said, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. That is good. That is good. Okay, so I hope you guys are ready for this conversation because I am ready for this conversation. Again, this month we're talking about how to shape your life, right? So the first week we talked about self-awareness. The second week we talked about healing, and this week we are taking a deep dive into accountability. All right. So this week we explored the stories we tell ourselves, right, about accountability. And then we talked about the triggers that arise when we typically choose to be accountable, right? And then we talked about the obstacles on Wednesday that keep us stuck. And then today we're going to dive into the patterns that either reinforce accountability or really sabotage it, right? If you've ever set an intention, right, but fail to follow through, let me tell you, this session really is for you. It's really for individuals who feel stuck despite setting powerful intentions, right? Those who recognize their patterns but don't know how to shift them, you guys, and people who struggle with follow through and accountability. And again, those faith driven individuals who want to align their actions and their purpose. Okay. All right. I love this. I love this title. Intention isn't enough, because I do think that we hear a lot of people talk about, I want to be intentional and I want to, and I'm, and live in intention. And, we're doing that, but I think that we're missing a piece. And my hope is that today's conversation will bring that self-awareness piece in so the learning curve can happen. And so we can start practicing how to 1 + 1 will equal the outcomes that we're looking for. Okay. All right. So today's powerful quote, Miss Candace said, this is for me. I'll pay close attention. Right. She said it will rain here in Charlotte this afternoon. Okay, Miss Candace. Yeah, I kind of like the rain. A lot of people don't like the rain, but I do. I like the rain. Okay. So this week's powerful quote. Listen, we don't rise to the level of our goals, you guys. We fail or we fall to the level of our systems. That's by James clear. Okay, we don't rise to the level of our goals, you guys. We truly fall to the level of our systems. What does that mean? um a lot of times we don't have the structures in place, right? And if we don't have the structures in place, which we're going to talk about, we tend to not meet our goals. So it's not that we're not rising or accomplishing our goals. It's just that we don't have the structures in place. So when we fall, we tend to fall back to our default because we never created the structure that needed to be created to meet the goal in the first place. Okay. Intention alone will not move you forward, you guys. Your patterns and accountability must support it. Okay. So today we're conducting an energy audit to really see where your patterns are keeping you stuck. Okay, so again, Jason said big intentions to work out, to save money, to grow spiritually. But every time he starts something, every time he starts something, you guys, he pulls himself back, right? His patterns really sabotage him. He stays up late watching TV, making it too hard for him to get up to work out in the morning. He impulsive shop when he's stressed, draining his savings. And he keeps saying, I'll read the Bible tomorrow, but he never follows through. Listen, Jason isn't lacking motivation. He's lacking systems of accountability. His energy is leaking into distraction, self-sabotaging, and avoidance. Okay. Where is your energy going? And are your patterns aligned with your intentions? Okay. And this is where this audit comes in. Am what I'm trying to do, right? Do I have the proper things in place to do the things that I want to do? All right. Listen, accountability isn't just about effort, you guys. It's about aligning your systems, your habits, and your mindset with your intention. Okay. This means that this means if your patterns contradict your goals, you will stay stuck no matter how much willpower you have. Okay. Imagine finally having momentum, consistency, and follow through in your life. What if accountability wasn't a burden, but a key to unlock your highest potential? I once worked with someone who felt stuck in self-sabotage. Once they realigned their patterns with their goals, everything changed. They finally stopped spinning their cycles and started making real progress. And this is something I really do with my clients. All right. When we set a goal, we just don't set the goal. Like we look at the values around the goal, right? We look at the patterns around the goal. We look at the systems around the goal. This really heightens, right? This really heightens the success rate of them really attaining this goal. Right, because studies show 90% of success is tied to systems, not motivation. Okay, just think about it. When we talk about these New Year's resolutions, how motivated are you? How motivated are you right now to really want to release some weight? How motivated are you right now to really want to change some of your habits? How motivated are you right now to really want that income? A lot of us are really motivated, right? We're really motivated. We want that, right? That we want it, but we don't have the right systems in place. So when we go to do it, right, we lose the motivation because the voice in our head, which we're going to talk about tomorrow, will tell us something different. And at that point, that's when we'll stop. But when we started, we're definitely motivated, right? So if you don't build habits and structures, your brain will default naturally, you guys, to the old pattern. All right. So are you ready to really shift from relying on willpower to creating real accountability? And I know that there's this talk about the willpower, and that does play a role. But remember when I talked about the ingredients yesterday, there are ingredients that we need to be successful. Okay. Willpower is one of those ingredients. But again, remember the quote is we don't rise to our goals, you guys. We fall to our systems. And a lot of us just don't have the systems in place, right? We're trying to change our structure, but we don't have a new way to if this don't work, what's my plan B? Or what am I putting in place to make sure that this is going to happen? What I mean by that is if I wake up every day, and this is just a simple example, if I wake up every day at 10 o'clock and then I tell my mind, okay, tomorrow I want to wake up at 6. okay, what is going to assure me that I'm going to wake up at 6? I'm going to put a system in place to make sure I wake up at 6. So what am I going to do? I'm going to set the alarm clock. I'm going to set the alarm clock because the alarm clock is the system that's going to get me up at 6 o'clock, right? That's a very simple system that I'm using that's going to trigger me to wake up at 6 o'clock, right? And then if I know I'm a hard sleeper, this is where self-awareness come in. I may not just set one alarm at 6. I may come back and set another alarm at like 6:05. And then I may set another alarm at 6:10, right? Because I know myself enough that maybe I may sleep through that first alarm. So I need two more alarms. So I need to make sure that I'm up by 6:10. If that makes sense, put a 2 in the chat, because my body is naturally going to get up at 8. But for this day, I need to get up at 6 o'clock. And I know that's not my normal routine. So I need to put a system in place that's going to wake me up at that time. And I may even call my mom, who I know who's up, call me at this time, right? So I'm putting a system in place to really help me support that goal. So now what? So now that means that I'm falling to my system. My system is in place, which means now I'm 90% more likely to what? Wake up before 6:15. All right. If that makes sense, put a heart in the chat. All right. So we know that the P and the stopping now framework stands for patterns, right? The repeated behaviors and thoughts that really loop and shape our accountability, right? Why do patterns matter? Tiana said, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop the alarms 30 minutes prior and get up on time. I like that you said that. I'm going to stop those alarms 30 minutes prior and get up on time. So first we build our habits and then our habits make us. First we build our habits and then our habits make us. And then there's a self-awareness piece to this. And then there's a natural part of who we are. So some people are, and I'm just going into this. Some people are morning people, right? And so they get up early. Like they just naturally, their body wakes up. And if you're one of these people, drop a heart in the chat. Like their body wakes up at like 5, 6 o'clock, right? In the morning. Sometimes 4 o'clock in the morning. And those people naturally go to sleep at 8, 9, 10 o'clock. Like they're naturally going to bed. And this is the part that we don't see when we think about these type of people who are morning risers. They naturally, though, go to bed at 9, 10, 11 o'clock. Okay. But then we have people who naturally are late people, meaning their bodies don't start to go to sleep until 1, 2, 3 o'clock. And they want to be morning risers, right? But their bodies don't really start shutting down till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So my body really doesn't start to shut down till 2, to 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So now I'm just now starting to get my rest and go into my REM sleep at like 2 o'clock. So maybe, just maybe, Tiana, maybe it's the desire is, hey, I want to, and this may not be you, but I'm using I'm using your message as an example because I think that this is a good example. Maybe the I want to wake up, I'm going to stop using my alarm clock and wake up at 30 minutes. That's a good goal to have. But is that in alignment with what your body naturally does, or is that a desire? Because here's where our egos can want something, but we need that external accountability because that's just not how we work. And I may want that forever, right? And I'm speaking this from a personal experience. Like, me, I'm naturally, my body doesn't start shutting down till 12 o'clock at night. And I know, like, I'm not really finna go into sleep mode until like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. That's when my body is going to start to go into rest. But I have to be up at 6:30. So I need my alarm clock to do that. Now, I've tried what you're talking about, where I'm going to naturally rise. And some days I will wake up before my alarm clock come in. But the days that I don't, right, that alarm clock is still there to catch me. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? If that makes sense, put a heart in the chat for me. Put a heart in the chat for me. Okay. So, and this is where intention alone. Okay. So why our patterns matter. Patterns determine whether accountability feels natural or forced. So this is why I'm bringing this up. So patterns determine whether accountability feels natural or forced. So sometimes our accountability is feeling natural to us, and sometimes it's feeling forced, right? If your patterns contradict your intentions, accountability may feel impossible, right? And breaking old patterns, though, is the key to creating sustainable accountability. So are my patterns really helping me, or are they hindering me? That's why self-awareness was our first thing we talked about in the first week, because when I start to learn who I am, then I will know like what system I need to put in place to accommodate, right? It's kind of like the bridge. Like it's kind of like, you remember when we were little and we have to connect the dots, right? So we have spaces, right, to create the full picture, and everybody does, right? It's not just you, it's not just me. We all have spaces in us, and we're connecting the dots, and the accountability is in a sense like the line that's connecting one from one dot to the next dot and one dot to the next dot. And although I can see the picture, right, I could see it, I could see the image, but stuff is falling through the cracks because I haven't connected them with these accountability systems. And we're going to talk about today why I haven't connected them, or why we don't connect those dots, right? But it's so important that we use a system, right? Like like our apps, some type of alarm system, people, right? Coaches, our family members, right? External systems, God, right? As the creator of all things, to really our purpose, right? So we can align in integrity. That's also very important, right? That we using these things to really bring this picture or this image or this desire, bring it into 3D mode, right? Right now we're just kind of like in 2D, right? I can see it, right? But when we talk about accountability, we're taking something from 2D, right, to really 3D, because now I can experience it. All right. Okay. So intention alone isn't enough. Some people, and I want to go back to you, Tiana. Let me know if that was, if what I responded to was actually what you were saying too, because I don't want to be off with that. So, intention alone is not enough, you guys. Many people set powerful intentions, right? They want to be healthier. They want to be more disciplined. They want to be more successful, and they want to be more present. But life happens, right? But life happens. So when their patterns really don't match their intentions, and there's no accountability in place, guess what? Their goals start slipping away, you guys. Here's the disconnect. Intention is the vision, right? So we talk about, we set an intention every day. The intention is the vision, right? So I want to be more consistent, for example. That's the vision. But the patterns are our behaviors, right? So I want to be more consistent, but my pattern is that I keep procrastinating, right? So we use accountability as the glue. Okay. So who or what can hold me accountable to my word? All right. So if your patterns contradict your intentions, listen, the accountability system is what steps in and course correct, or else you will feel stuck and frustrated, you guys. And a lot of us have great intentions and great visions. Again, if we think about those New Year's resolutions, or those times where we tell ourselves, I'm going to change, I'm going to do these things, but we're not really looking and evaluating our patterns, you guys. And then we're not taking the accountability, and we're not putting the accountability tool in place. Like, who's going to hold me accountable and what's going to hold me accountable? And then this is what's coming up in my spirit to say this. And sometimes the who's going to hold me accountable is a part of my old pattern. It's the friend that wake up at 8 o'clock with me, right? It's the friend who also want to change and start working out too, right? And so now we're going to hold ourselves accountable to start getting up at 6 o'clock to work out, when both of us get up at 8 o'clock and we both don't work out. You see what I'm saying? So both of us are trying to change a habit, and we're trying to hold each other accountable, but none of us have the infrastructure to really hold each other accountable, because we haven't practiced it enough, right? So if I want an accountability system, it has to be something that has already proven evident that it can sustain or hold the space for the thing that I'm growing into. If that makes sense, put a 1 in the chat, right? So it's not that sometimes we're not going out and asking our friends or, seeking help. It's just that the help that we're seeking is sometimes in our current culture, right? It's in our current environment, and it has already adapted energetically, emotionally, and habitually to who I am. And so now for it to, when I go to change, it has already adapted to who I am. So yesterday I talked about subjective and objective. It's already subjective to me, right? So now when I ask it to hold me accountable, it's going to be very difficult to hold me accountable because it's subjective to me already. Okay. So that's why now I need to get something that's objective to me, right? And this is where technology comes in because the app is very objective, right? And this is where I get a coach or a therapist because they're very objective to me. This is where I go and I, step out my comfort zone and join a community of people because they're very objective to me. I'm going into a new space, a new energy, right? A new energy that's not used to my energy. So now I can use that energy in what we call transmute that energy. Now I can use this different space to hold me accountable. Okay. All right. So if your patterns if your patterns contradict your intention, your accountability system has to step up and course correct. Right. So why most people struggle with follow through, really because they set intentions, but they keep their old patterns. Right. I want to wake up earlier, but I hit the snooze button 5 times. I want to work out, but I stroll on social media and said, I want to spend money, but I keep impulsive spending. Listen, we don't want to feel guilty for these things. Again, we just want to become self-aware. Oh, it's my pattern that's getting in the way of, it's the patterns that I have that are getting in the way of the intention that I'm setting for my life. That doesn't mean I'm a bad person. That doesn't mean I'm a failure. That just means that I need to do something to break this pattern, right? Sometimes we rely on willpower instead of accountability. I will push myself harder to do this thing, right? I'm going to push myself harder, but old patterns pull them back in, right? So when we're trying to use willpower, again, when I gave that rubber band scenario, remember I said, you're here, right? You're stuck here, right? This is a candle. I had a birthday and blew it out. But anyway, so you're stuck here, right? Willpower. I'm pulling, but my behavior and pattern is anchored here. I only can pull myself so far before where I'm anchored at, where my belief is anchored at, is going to pull me back. Okay. So willpower is only going to get us so far. All right. I don't need anyone to check in on me. Again, this is that ego saying, I don't need nobody to tell me nothing. I can do this on my own. But without external accountability, you guys, really excuses win. Excuses win. Good morning, Miss Jackie. Excuses win, right? And then they expect change without systems. Okay. Okay. So people really will expect change without systems. Okay. So no reminders, no tracking, no accountability partner. Listen, equals no real progress. Let me say that one more time. No reminder set up, no tracking system set up, no accountability partner set up will equal no progress. Now, again, you start off, it will boost, it will give you a dopamine hit talking about it to your friends. Yeah, I started this diet regimen. That's gonna boost your dopamine. It's gonna serve the ego, right? In the beginning, right? Because you're talking about it and all of that. But the change that you're looking for, that transformation, it won't be there because you don't have the right things in place, you guys. So we need to put the right things in place. Here's the solution. Okay. Make your patterns match your intention. Okay. If the statement is, I want to be more disciplined, create morning routines, create night routines. I'm going to tell you this. A big part of the people who watch this show every morning between 8:30 and 8:45 is because it is aligned with a routine that you already have. Either you're at work, right? And I'm popping on. So while you're at work, you're watching me. So you matched it with that, right? But if it's something that you had to introduce, you're watching it sporadically. But if it's something that you already had a routine in doing and then you just added life lessons to it, the likelihood of you watching it every day is more sustainable because that thing is holding you accountable to listening to this show. If that makes sense, put a 2 in the chat for me, right? So creating routines, right, is the accountability. So creating a morning routine and a night routine. This also helps with sleep, right? So people say I struggle with sleep. Okay, you need to create a sleep routine, right? To prepare your body. We need to create morning routines. What do I do when I get up in the morning, right? What does that first 30 minutes look like for me? What does the last 30 minutes of my day look like? Okay. So again, these routines that I set up, they help me to become what? More disciplined. All right. If the statement is I want to grow spiritually. Set daily prayer and reflection time. We can set that in my morning routine or I can set that in my night routine. All right. But I got to set the routine first. Okay. I want to follow through. Use schedules and deadlines and check-ins, right? Now, because I have either a morning routine or a night routine, now I can what? Bump my schedule against that, bump my deadlines against that, bump my check-ins against that. But some routine has to be in place that I'm bumping these things up against. Because when I do that, now my efficiency level has bumped up. Okay. Like for me, I work out on Tuesdays and Thursdays. A big part of me working out when I first started working out, which I had to bump back to because of the show, but it was like I go drop off my son and then I go work out. If I don't attach working out to dropping off my son, I don't know what's going to happen between, me getting home, something can happen. Like, so I need to make sure that I work out like right in that morning time because something could happen. I needed to match that in this. Why? Because one, I had resistance to working out. My body, I just had to train my mind. Like, we need to get in this gym. We need to strength train. Now, Pilates was different because I had a dear desire to do Pilates and because it was like only so many classes, right? So I had an afternoon class and I would make sure that I was at Pilates, but it was the urgency of that class that got me there. Okay. It was like the scarcity of me getting in that class. But again, it's different things that trigger the brain. So we need to create morning routines and night routines. We need to set, if you want to grow spiritually, you definitely need to set daily prayer time and reflection time, right? That we're putting in this morning routine in our reflection time, and we need to start using our schedules and deadlines. Listen, we have a phone, and I know it is going off so many times with text messages and emails, and for other people though, for other people, and people used to think that I was being cocky when I say my phone is for me. My brother's on here. Good morning, Roosevelt. Good morning, Pep. And he'll be like, you never answer your phone. And I would say my phone is for me. It's not, it is for you, but I'm using it for the schedule, for the calendars, so it can remind me of things through my day, so I can communicate with people when I want to communicate with people. I'm not using my phone so people have access to me 24 hours a day. That's not the purpose of my phone. You know what I mean? And that was one of the things that I put in place, so if I put my phone down, when I come back to it, I will get to the people who are trying to contact me. But my phone is the most sophisticated device I have, and I'm using it for its sophistication, and I'm offering you to do the same thing. But a lot of us are using our phone for other people's, to have access to us. But you have apps, you have calendars, you have schedules and things that you can actually use to align, advance, and accelerate your life, and give it a different ring, give it a different sound, so that's me, that's for me. Okay. You can make it sound like it's money dropping. All right. Create accountability systems that work for you. Listen, find an accountability partner. Listen, someone to call you and check in. Set automatic reminders like alerts, if you're a paper person, written plans and things like that. And then join communities, you guys, where showing up is expected of you, right? It's some people who come up in the chat. I'm expecting you guys to show up, right? I'm expecting you guys to come in and get the life lesson. You know, it's some people who showing up on Thursday. I'm expecting them to come, right? And I'm following up if they don't. Like, hey, you didn't show up today. Is there something? If if I don't hear from them from a couple of weeks, like, hey, is everything going on, right? Pulling them back in. That's that piece of accountability. All right. All right. Listen, intention without aligned patterns equals frustration. And a lot of us are frustrated because we're not getting the results of our intentions, right? But we don't have aligned patterns that really can help to move that. Patterns without accountability really equal inconsistency, you guys. Listen, accountability bridges the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Accountability bridges the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Okay. Let me talk about some factors that really block accountability. In addition to the things we've talked about, like fear, the lack of support, and emotional triggers, other deep rooted psychological patterns can really prevent people from taking accountability. All right. The one thing is entitlement, you guys. I shouldn't have to be accountable. Entitlement. Why it happens. Some people just believe they deserve success, they deserve respect, and they or rewarded without putting in the work, right? They think accountability is for others and not them, right? They've been conditioned to believe that the rules just don't apply to them. All right. So maybe it's you that have the accountability, or maybe you've seen that when you're trying to hold people accountable, right? That they just deserve success, respect, and rewards. You know, listen, I don't have to put in the work. I own that. That entitlement is very different than than you know than in the sense feeling blessed and highly favored. Entitled is like, I show up and you just supposed to do that for me. Remember, life is about giving and taking, right? It's about cause and effect. Okay. Right. It is it's a cycle. All right. And some people in our lives, or maybe it's you, we're just taking, right? Or we are sitting in a seat and we're expecting, but we're not putting the systems in place and we're not doing the things and we're complaining about it. All right. How this shows up is that we're blaming others for our lack of success. I didn't get the opportunity because people don't recognize my talent. Okay, well, are you doing the things to really put yourself out there? Are you practicing your talent? Are you giving yourself grace? Listen, expecting other people to fix problems, someone else should handle this for me, right? There's a learning curve, you guys, right? There's things that you should know before. If this is your talent, if this is your thing, if this is your passion, there's things that you should know. Okay, so someone else should handle this for me. Okay. Tell me more about that. That would be my question. But a lot of people feel like, this ain't, somebody else should do this. This ain't, I don't want to do this. All right. Resenting feedback instead of applying it. Okay. And resisting it. Okay. Why should I have to improve? That's the question in their mind. Like, why should I have to improve? They should accept me as I am. A lot of people is walking around like, why should I have to be better? Why should I have to learn how to communicate? Why should I have to change the way I think? Why should I have to do this? Why should I do? They should just accept me as I am. And here is the thing about that. We want people to accept us as we are, and that sounds very good to the ego. But if we really pull back the covers, and this is why I say it's entitlement too, because we're not even accepting ourselves, right? There's a deeper pain probably behind that, or a deeper discomfort behind that, and we're using entitlement as a shield, right? So we're expecting other people to fix our problems because we're scared that if we try to fix it, we may not be able to. We're blaming others for our lack of success because maybe if I step out and do it, I'm fearful that if I try to do that, that I, blaming others for our lack of success, because if I step out, I'm really have a fear of rejection, right? And resisting feedback instead of applying it is that, I really don't believe I can change. I have doubt in that. You know what I mean? So why can't you just accept? So this entitlement is accepting me for who I am is really a deeper issue there that really has to deal with maybe your self-worth and your value. Okay. This victim mentality, nothing is my fault, right? So why this happens. Some people have experienced real hardship, right? In unfair situations, but instead of using it as fuel for growth, they stay stuck in blame, you guys. They stay stuck in blame. Taking accountability feels too painful because it forces them to confront uncomfortable truths. This is huge, right? Taking accountability feels so painful that it forces them to really confront uncomfortable truths, right? And how this shows up is really deflecting responsibility. They treated me unfairly, so I'm not responsible for my reaction. You know, I asked the person one day, um, so it's like you're saying that, and then you punch a hole in the wall. You know, are you okay with punching a hole in the wall? And the person said, well, if I punched a hole in the wall and the hole got in the wall because I punched it, then I guess I'm okay with it. And then right then I said, at that point, when you didn't see that you took it a little too far, that was the problem, right? So again, deflecting responsibility. All right. So so again, this statement is saying they treated me unfairly, so I'm not responsible for my reaction. Okay, so now you're not responsible for how you reacted based off of somebody else's reaction. This again is that victim mindset. I'm doing what I did because of what they did. Listen, not taking no accountability. All right, feeling powerless over your life. I can't change my situation, so why even try? Right? Seeing accountability as an attack instead of a tool. Right? People just want to criticize me. People just keep wanting to put me down. People don't want to see me win. No, right? But again, when individuals are in a victim mindset, we hear the words that come into and the experiences that we see often is seen like this. And this is why I'm talking about it, because if you're one of these individuals, I'm not here to judge you. I'm just painting the picture so you can maybe on the inside raise your hand and say, hey, I think that's me. Right. And possibly if you desire and you want something different in your life, maybe it's time to step out of that mindset because you can. And it may be scary, right? And it may require you to face some uncomfortable truths, but you can experience life differently, right? And you don't have to deflect responsibility anymore. You actually can take responsibility for your actions. You don't have to feel powerless over your life. You can take your power back, and you don't have to see accountability as an attack. You can start to see accountability as a tool for your growth, for your transformation that you seek, though. You want that, right? Here's the shift. Even if something wasn't my fault, how I move forward is always my responsibility. That's the mindset that I want you to have. Even if something wasn't my fault, all this time, everything that's happened to me in my life, what my mama did, what my daddy did, what my boyfriend did, all of that wasn't my fault. From this day forward, from this day forward, how I move forward is my responsibility. You know why? Because I have the information now. Okay. All right. So another thing that gets in the way is perfectionism. If I don't do it perfectly, I won't do it at all. We get stuck in this perfectionism. And again, it's just a stronger relationship with our ego. Okay. What happens is that some people think accountability means that, you know, good morning. Good morning, Miss Melissa. Some people think that accountability means that they must always get it right. Right. And again, when I told you, like, as adults, we don't have to get it right, you guys. Right. They fear that if they admit their faults or failures, that they will be seen as weak and incapable. And this is just not true. And again, I'm just here to disrupt that that's just not true. And I know that in your mind it's true. Like, well, if I don't get it right, then why do it at all? I'm not saying that you will never get it right. I'm just saying that it's going to take time. It's a learning curve, right? When you first started to ride a bike, you didn't know how to ride a bike. When you first got to that job that you got to, you didn't know how to do that job. When you first started to cook, you didn't know how to cook. When you first moved into the house that you move into, you didn't, know your way around that house. When you first drove a car, you didn't know how to drive that car. And all I'm saying is perfectionism is it's a veil. Like, it's nobody that that I know that when they first, unless it's a gift, right? It is some people who can just hear music from a kid and know that, oh, that's a C. But even in that, it's still kind of a learned behavior. But what I'm saying is perfectionism is a veil. It's a lie. It's like, no, perfectionism is a process, and we do it and we do it and we do it until we master something. And even in mastery, there is a space for error. Okay. So some people think though that accountability means that we must always get it right. And so they fear, and so they fear that if they admit fault or failure, that they will be seen as weak and incapable. And a lot of that is just the rearing. Okay. So avoiding challenges that prevent failure. So if I don't try, I won't fail. Okay. Rejecting constructive criticism. If I don't need advice, I'll figure it out myself. And then over apologizing instead of taking real accountability. I'm just the worst. I don't do anything right. And we've seen these people, that when you approach them, it's as if they, you know, oh, I'm so sorry. I guess I'm just the worst person in the world. I guess I just never do anything right. I guess I'm just always going to be the bad person. I guess I'm never going to be the right girlfriend. I guess I'm never going to have, and it's like, they're not taking real accountability. They're over apologizing, right? Because of this perfectionism, and they're using generalized statements as a way of dismissing, right? Because they don't want to appear weak and incapable. So it's kind of like this dismissive thing, right? And I just want, if that's you or somebody like that, I just want to shift the perspective. Accountability isn't about being perfect, you guys. It's really just about committing to growth. And as human beings, we got to know that either life gonna grow with you or without you. We just don't want to miss the bus on our life. We only get one, right? And we want to take, we just want to take life by the reins and do with it, the best we can, because we only get one life, you guys. We have a fear of losing control. Okay. If I admit my faults, I'll lose power. Okay. How this happens is some people associate control with power. Okay. So if I admit my mistakes, right, they fear that, they'll lose credibility, influence, and true authority. All right. So manipulating the narrative to avoid blame, that's not exactly what happened. That's something they'll say, well, I didn't say it exactly like that. Right. So manipulating the narrative to avoid blame, dismissing valid concerns, right? People are overreacting, right? So this is kind of like just dismissing valid concerns of other people, using intimidation to really avoid accountability. I don't have to explain myself to anyone, right? This is this like fear of losing control. Like because they really do feel like if I admit my fault, I'm going to lose my power, right? And it's really a tactic of control than it is power, right? Listen, true leadership is not about avoiding accountability. Let me say it again. True leadership is not about avoiding accountability. It's about owning it, right? It's about owning what you do, how you move. It's truly about that. It's about standing up and saying, hey, I made a mistake. I heard that wrong. I did that wrong, and then getting up and doing better the next time, you guys. All right. And then we also have what's called learned helplessness. I can't change, so why bother? If someone failed in their past, despite trying, they may believe that their actions really don't matter, you guys. This is a learned behavior, right? They assume nothing will change no matter what they do, right? And how this shows up is just refusing to take, actions towards their goals. When I try, I'll probably fail again, right? So this is a learned behavior. They've tried so many times, and so now they just feel defeated and hopeless, right? Rejecting accountability because they don't see the point, right? Just rejecting accountability because they just don't see the point. Like, I've done so much, why even try? I've always been this way, and I'll always be this way. Really waiting for someone else to, to fix things. I just need someone to come rescue me, from this life, from this situation. Listen, I just want you to know that, reframe that, and I'm gonna say it in this way. I want you to say it in an affirmation. My past does not define my future. Accountability is my path to transformation. Okay. Okay. Listen, entitlement keeps you stuck in expectations instead of actions. Victim mentality keeps you stuck in blame instead of solutions. Perfectionism, it really keeps you stuck in fear instead of progress. Control issues, it keeps you stuck in defensiveness instead of growth. And learn helplessness, it keeps you stuck in the past instead of stepping into your future, you guys. Okay, so which pattern do you recognize? All right, all right. If you're ready to move forward, put a heart in the chat for me. All right, let's go into our biblical wisdom for today. All right. Our biblical wisdom, for today. Our principal verse, Second Corinthians 13:5. Examine yourselves to see whether you are in faith. Test yourselves. All right. Examine yourselves to see if you are in faith. Test yourselves. All right. Do you not recognize that Christ Jesus is in you unless, of course, you fail the test? Okay. So that's the whole. So it's actually 5 and 6. So it's examine yourselves to see whether you are in faith and test yourselves. Do you not realize that Christ Jesus is in you unless, of course, you fail the test? So I chose this for a specific reason. All right. We can say Christ Jesus. We can say Yahshua the Messiah. However you want to call, this entity. All right. So here's the thing. This principal verse is really just about examining. Examination is accountability. All right. If you're not checking your patterns, you might be self-sabotaging without even recognizing it, you guys. Listen, examining yourself to see whether you are in faith, and testing yourself instead of really demanding proof from others. Listen, Paul tells them to really look inward and test their own faith, right? Many people resist accountability because they fear what they'll see, you guys. I really want you to see this, right? Many people really resist accountability because they fear what they'll find. All right. But without self-examination, real transformation is impossible. Ms. Jackie said Jesus. Okay. All right. All right. So Paul challenges them. If Jesus is truly you, your actions should reflect it. All right. So because it says, do you not realize that Jesus Christ is in you? Unless, of course, you fail the test, right? That's 6, right? So Paul challenges, if Christ is in you, then your actions should reflect that. If your patterns don't match your intentions, so basically, if your patterns don't match your intentions, we must question whether we are truly aligned in our faith and values, you guys. Listen, accountability starts with self-examination. Before we blame external factors, we must ask, am I truly living in alignment with my intention, right? With this thing that's in me? Is it aligned with the thing that I'm trying to do outside of me, right? If our daily habits contradict our goals, you guys, we are failing the test of accountability. Listen, the Christ in you equals the power of change. If Jesus dwells within you, that means we already have everything we need to step into transformation. The question is, are we activating it? Right? How this applies to accountability and energy. Are your daily patterns and behaviors aligned in your faith, in your values, and your goals? Remember earlier when I talked about when I work with people, it's not just about your goals. I'm looking at your goals. I'm looking at, how these values align with your goals, right? I'm trying to get a whole understanding of who you are to make sure that this thing that you say you want to do, that we're going to meet that. Okay. Are you avoiding self-examination because it feels uncomfortable, right? So if Christ is in you, are you living through if Christ is in you, are you living as though you believe that? Right? And again, I talk about, I bring up these verses, because I truly believe the Bible is a book about promises, patterns, parables, and principles, right? And here's the thing, there is a God within us. And I truly believe that God has done a lot of what God is going to do, and we just need to activate that. And this accountability piece is, are we doing what we're supposed to do? One of the other things that I believe is that God 100%, always been 100%, you know? Now, what am I doing to become 100%? Am I using all the resources that I have been given? And the resources that I have been given may extend beyond me, right? It may extend to my family, right? To my siblings. It may extend to my friends. It may extend to, you know, to my community. You know, it may extend to the apps, to the features. Am I using my resources when I'm praying to God, you know, and I'm asking God to do things for me? Am I taking the veil off my eyes so I can see, like, oh, I'm asking you to help me to be more disciplined, but I have an app right here that, you know, that I can use to help me to become more disciplined, but am I using this app to keep me disciplined? You know what I mean? Right? It's already there. Like, he put it in the mind of a person to create that app, you know, but am I using that? You know? And so I think that good morning, Mariah. So I think that we definitely need to be mindful. Okay. All right. So why this matters? Let me see. Okay, so which one of these patterns? Okay, I already did that one. So what this means is that accountability starts with self-examination. Before we blame external factors, we must ask, am I truly living in alignment with my intentions? Okay. All right. So the promise verse, let us not grow weary in good doing, right? For at the proper time, we will reap a harvest if we do not give up, you guys. Okay. This reinforces the idea that consistency and diligence, which is patterns, lead to breakthroughs, you guys. It encourages accountability to long-term growth, even when results aren't immediate, you guys. This verse reminds us that delayed gratification is a part of the process, but the reward will come. Listen, when you're building new accountability patterns, it's easy to feel discouraged. It's easy to feel discouraged. It's easy to feel discouraged if you don't see quick results. This verse reminds you that the work you're putting in will pay off. It will pay off, you guys, as long as you stay consistent. As long as you stay consistent. So are you willing to stay accountable even when the results aren't immediate? Listen, transformation, it takes time, you guys. New patterns don't develop overnight. Accountability requires long-term commitments. The work feels hard because the work feels hard before the results show up. Many people give up on accountability because they don't see immediate change. But just like planting seeds, growth is happening even when you don't see it. Okay. Persistence separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. Those who stay committed to accountability, even when it's uncomfortable, will reap the benefits. I remember one time we had a group at the office, myself, Mariah, and at the time we had a producer for the show that I did before. And we planted these seeds, and we set an intention. So each one of us got a plant, and we planted them. And because we knew that, and was like a mind hack, because we knew that it was going to be tough, those plants represented growth, right? Those plants actually represented the growth. And so when we would come in and we would water it, and watering those plants was like our demonstration of watering our goals, right? And so we would see these plants flourish and grow and things like that. But that was like an outside representation of these internal, goals that we were taking, right? So because in these were some of the life hacks that we did, because again, being consistent is challenging. Again, this is why we need to be in environments that support us. This is why we need to be around people who can hold us accountable, that, that can have difficult conversations, that, that it's not always trying to please us, that sometimes, we can have the tough conversations and when we are to get off the phone, but I'm not scared that you broke up with me because I said something to you that you didn't like today, that tomorrow or tonight, we still loving on each other. That was uncomfortable. You know, a lot of us, we live in this very, like I said, fragile state that we can't hold each other accountable because maybe we're going to break up tonight. And now I'm talking about friendships. I'm talking about siblingships. I'm talking about parental ships and things like that. Like if it get too tough, you know, now we mad and now we not talking, you know, because you said something to hurt my feelings and now you're not my friend no more. You know, so there's no space for accountability and there's no space for that, what? Iron sharpening iron, you know? And remember, iron sharpening iron is just that. The roughness of this is sharpening that. And so sometimes we need to be sharpened. Sometimes we need this roughness. And it's not going to be what? Easy, right? But just like planting seeds, growth happens even when you don't see it yet. So perseverance separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. Okay? From those who stay stuck. We can roll our eyes and still have lunch. Yes, Tiana, exactly. Because we love each other. And again, and when we talk about this intention of love, it's not just like it's just like agape love. Like I love you too much to let you fall, right? I love you too much to see you go through that. Like I gotta stand up and I have to say something. Listen, uh you know, I want to ask you some questions. Are you losing patience with your growth process? Okay. Do you start strong and then quit when results don't come fast enough? Are you letting frustration push you into old patterns instead of staying consistent? Okay. Listen, this is what this verse is really about. It's here to remind you and become aware of, yep, that's me. And that's probably because you don't have the right accountability, or I'm going to say it like this. You have to start putting the right accountability systems in place. Okay. So I'm going to ask you, are you willing to stay accountable and put the right accountability systems in place, even when it feels like nothing is changing? All right. All right. Our transformational tool for today is I want you to, is this not my accountability? Identify your intention. I put these in last night. Did I put them under another banner? I'm sorry, you guys. Let's see. I must have put them under another banner, so it's not going to pop up today. So our transformational tool is identify your intention. So what do you want to improve? Okay. What do you want to improve? List your current patterns. All right. List your current patterns. All right. What behaviors support or sabotage these goals? So ask yourself that. All right. And then I want you to implement an accountability system. So what check-ins, okay, what check-ins, partners, or habits can help you align? All right. All right. All right. And then the challenge that aligns with that is for the next 24 hours, track where your energy is going. All right. Are you taking daily actions to really, um, are you taking daily actions that really that are reflecting your true intentions? Okay. All right. And then our affirmation for today is I align my patterns with my intentions. I create systems that support my growth. Accountability is my path to success. And then our daily intention for today is, I'm just putting them in, you guys. I put them in, but I don't know why they didn't say. So my apologies. So our daily intention for today I choose consistency over excuses. My actions reflect my highest intention. Okay. My actions reflect my highest intention. And then our bonus challenge, you guys, for today. For the next 24 hours, track your energy, right? Are your daily actions really reflecting your true intentions? Listen, you already know what to do. Drop a fire in the chat if today's session truly shift your perspective on, good morning, Miss Lorraine. If today's session truly shift your perspective on intention, you guys, in the importance of, when we talk about setting intentions, the importance of accountability and the relationship between accountability and intention, you guys, make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel. Continue to invite the friends to our Facebook group, you guys. And remember, if you can shape it in your mind, you guys, you can have it in your life. I love you. I love you. I love you. Tomorrow we're talking about rewriting the narrative, transform your inner critic into your coach, you guys. Transforming your inner critic into your inner coach. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow for that show. Till later. Till later.